heaviest meal of the day. So some of the key ingredients is what I'm talking about in that video as it's working and as you see things dropping is chromium. So we have chromium in a couple of our products, and I didn't realize it was in Fat Fighters. And it's funny because my mom talked about this. She's like, I had chromium like back in the day when I was like, doing like fat burners and stuff, like chromium pills themselves were actually like the thing. That's not something new. And it made you feel full and like took all of your feelings of hunger away then. So it's used widely in products today. So I just thought that was kind of cool. So chromium is for weight loss and lean body mass. So it amplifies your insulin action. Fat Fighters is so good.
That is.
Okay. I know we have a lot of people ask, like, what do I give my diabetic? They have a PLC and they're a diabetic. What should we recommend? There's a few products that I highly recommend, but Fat Fighters, hands down, should always be in their cart. So it amplifies insulin action in our body, which reduces the amount of glucose converted to fat. So the insulin action is going to be higher. So our sugars and our carbs that we're eating are going to be processed the correct way instead of just like making you feel like blah and storing it as fat. And it's going to increase protein synthesis. So what chromium does in Fat Fighters actually increase in like the end result will help increase your muscle mass. Like we don't think about that when we think about Fat Fighters. I'm just like, damn, I just ate pizza. Like, give me my Fat Fighter. But like you don't realize that like on the back end of things that is something that actually will help with protein synthesis and muscle mass. Okay, so this will chromium will reduce your food intake. It will reduce your hunger levels and your cravings. So if you have somebody that's like, God, like I just want to lose weight, but I have no self-control. Every single day. I'm like constantly in my own head and I can't. Fat Fighters would be great for them to just every day, like you have your one meal that's a little bit heavier than the rest. That's like a reward to them, maybe. Take your Fat Fighters with it. This is actually good for people with PCOS. And that was super cool to me because we talked about Skinny Brew and the nootropics being really good for people with PCOS. But this is so good because it maintains glycemic control, obviously, what we talked about, but it reduces cholesterol levels. So therefore, you're going to have weight loss when you're able to like manage those fats better, manage those lipids. They're not giving you high cholesterol. You're not going to be on that cholesterol medicine the way you were if you're taking Fat Fighters. There was actually, so there's also, the next ingredient is cactus leaf. The big term for it is Neopuntia or something like that. It's cactus leaf, okay? And yes, helps with PCO. Yes, Mackenzie. So like this in Skinny Brew, like I just can't even imagine. I would love to have a customer come in to say that they have that, or somebody on the team, if you guys have that, give it a try because I would love to know like how you feel. So the cactus leaf significantly increases, increases HDL, and what did they say? Hugely decreased LDL. Okay, so that's how I'm going to say it. So HDL is your cholesterol levels, or HDL and LDL. HDL numbers, you want them to be high. That's the good cholesterol. It's the good fats. Okay, you want those to be high in your body. The LDL is the yucky fat, like that's the bad stuff. So you want those to be lower. And cactus leaf itself, and I have all the evidence-based studies for these, has proven to hugely decrease people's cholesterol. So that's not something I associated Fat Fighters with. And that was with no additional cholesterol intervention. So it's not like they were taking cholesterol medicine and this, no other interventions, just Fat Fighter, or not just Fat Fighters, but just cactus leaf. And then the last thing I'm going to say about this is wheat amylase inhibition. So this is an ingredient in a smaller part of the blend in Fat Fighters, and this induces carb tolerance. This was the coolest one to me. It keeps you full, and it promotes weight loss because it prolongs gastric emptying. Therefore, this is used hugely with obesity and type 2 diabetes. So this wheat amylase inhibition will keep your food in your stomach longer as the rest of the ingredients in Fat Fighters are doing their job. So it's not like you're going to you're not gonna eat that heavy meal. And then when people say, oh, it went right through me. Like, it's not going to be that, because you're not going to have that. It's going to keep it where it is. It's going to do its job. And then it's going to normally let you pass your foods. So causes carbohydrate malabsorption, which is what we talked about, fat fighters. And that's what I have for you guys. Okay. So that's your product for this week. And the next thing we're going to go into is color personalities. You need to hold on one. Autumn, can you just kind of give a gist of what color personalities are, like why we're talking about it, just real quick?
Yeah, so color personalities go into a lot of different things. It's basically how your mind operates. So there's red, yellow, green, and blue, and all of them operate in a different way and like different things, and they communicate in different ways. So it's really important that we're being aware of what our own color personality is, so that we know how we know how to handle different situations, but also so that we can be aware when we're handling and leading a team of other different color personalities. We want to know how to interact with them and how they learn best and how they communicate best. So that way we kind of like merge all of those together and really create a unity with them. Do you want me to go directly into the reds and greens? Or you want to, Sam?
Oh, red. Go in the layout form.
Is it, so it's me, okay. I couldn't hear her. Okay, so I'm gonna lead right into it with reds. Reds are mission-minded people. So when I say they, I mean we. I am red and I am green. So I'm talking about the two that I'm like 45% of red and 45% green and very little yellow and blue. So we're mission-minded people. So we take the bull by the horns. We're very self-driven, self-focused, very confident, and we are very focused on the finish line. We love recognition, and we are driven by money, title, status, and power. So we will not focus on people, and we will not leave the 99 in order to cater to the 1%. We'll just leave them. We're very stubborn typically, and we don't like asking for help because we think it's a sign of weakness, even if we know better. So we are typically very strong and aggressive in how we communicate with other people, even if we don't mean it. It's like, so typically we know what we bring to the table, and we'll want to take action, and will not allow anyone to paralyze us. We are so focused and confident in our ability. And because we're so self-focused and self-sustaining, reds really, really, really struggle to relate to people. So we aren't as fueled by people, meaning that we don't need to go to parties, or we don't need to feel that kind of excitement and connection to people in that way. And actually, it typically drains us. It annoys us. We're either too busy trying to plan or work, and we just want to do our own independent thing and rely on ourselves. So as reds, we often are not necessarily considerate of other people, and we don't mean to not be considerate. We honestly just don't think about it because we are very self-centered. And I don't always mean that in a bad way, but we just are so focused on our goals and our intentions and what we want and go getting those things that we forget that there's other people with other opinions and other goals, and we can't even think about them. So we oftentimes are not as considerate because we are not moved by emotions. We're not moved by compassion for other people typically, and we aren't moved by serving people. We like goals and accomplishing things. So we're often so busy focusing on our own lives that we don't have regard for others. So it's something that we have to be very aware of as reds, leading other people and interacting with other people in a business that's very much focused on helping other people. So when we're communicating with reds, you need to be very clear and precise in the way that you are communicating. Reds will respect this, absolutely. So they love, value, and appreciate feedback. Even if it's negative, they want to hear it. I promise you. So don't beat around the bush and sugarcoat things. There's something called the sandwich method, which basically is a way of thinking of a sandwich. The bread is compliments, and in between you're smushing the meat, which is the negative concern or the negative feedback that you want. So you're kind of making the blow a little easier, and that works with a lot of color personalities, but it will not work with reds, and it's actually going to really make them mad, because what happens is it's insulting and offensive because you're beating around the bush, you're wasting their time, and then on top of that, you're confusing them because you're just not saying what needs to be said. So a red, we think like in our head, a red thinks, tell me what I did wrong, tell me what the consequence is so that I can fix it because I don't want to do it again. They just want to fix it and keep moving. They don't want to harp on it. Don't mix up what someone's doing good when they're a red and what they're doing bad. So if they're doing good, just let them know, hey, you're doing amazing right now. If they need to work on something, give them that feedback and just say it exactly as it is. Otherwise, you're holding them back from improving and you're not allowing them to reach their full potential. So they prefer when you come to them. Reds are not afraid of confrontation. They just want it to be said exactly the way that it needs to be said. Okay, so leading reds, like I said, we typically bulldoze over people. So it's okay to tell them like, hey, sorry, someone was speaking. Okay, so it's okay to tell people like, hey, you're kind of walking all over people here. You need to back off a little bit. So it's okay to approach them, but a good way to tell people, approach someone when they're a red is saying like, hey, I'm seeing that there's some things that you can improve on. I really want you to succeed. Do you have some time to talk to me? And when you put it that way, a red's always going to be open to it. Now, they may not always like the feedback, but they're certainly going to want to work on it because reds want to be perfect. We want to like be the best at everything we can. So they love raw coaching. Like I said, don't sugarcoat it. If you're a blue and a yellow, I know that oftentimes it's hard to communicate. I know my cat, sorry. I know that it's really hard sometimes to, like, you don't want to have confrontation. So you feel like, it's okay, I'll just dismiss it. You're actually kind of hurting the reds because we don't know that we need to work on something. We don't know that we made you feel some type of way, and we don't know that we need to improve. So you're limiting us and hurting us. So don't feel afraid. We want you to come forward and let us know what you're thinking. Reds, when they come to posting, you have to like watch them a little bit because we'll want to post things that are just like super short and simple, like your 9 to 5 sucks, so quit your job and join my team. Like, we can't exactly post that. I mean, you could, but it's not the greatest. So you're going to want to give reds more direction and focus and try to help them relate to the yellow and blue side of people. Like, get them to connect with feelings a teeny tiny bit, just so that way they're not always coming across just so like goal getters only. Reds take action, so they're probably really good to go with just a couple pointers from you. You do not need to coddle them and nurture them. They do not need you. They know who they are, what they want, and exactly how to get it. They will let you know when they're ready for you, okay? So when it comes to pouring into reds, lead with recognition. So as reds, we love the attaboys, like, you did good at this, I love this. We want to hear all of those. Tell us that we're great. And then we want love, power, and if you give us a title, like, we're gonna own that, okay? So give people all the titles that you can. When you are leading as a red personality, you have to really be aware because, like I said, we don't connect with people as much. So you have to learn that other people matter and that other people have very valid opinions. So be aware. We often speak so clear as reds, but like that knife is so pointed and so sharp that it cuts so deep sometimes. And as reds, we're not even aware of how pointed that we're being. We speak the way that we want to be spoken to ourselves. And that's not the way that other people want to be spoken to necessarily. So it can come across as really brash and too honest. So reds have to be very mindful when they're communicating with other people that you're tailoring and you're not being kind of short and curt and rude in a way and dismissing other people. So that was reds. Greens, on the other hand, is the other half of me. Now, this is the opposite of blue. So they're very driven by numbers, data, systems, research. We love facts. Give us a good statistic and we are sold on it. Okay, so greens in general are very intellectual, task-oriented, loyal, structured, very efficient, and we are perfectionist. A lot of times they don't tolerate things that they consider like dumb. So greens have this internal gauge that they really have to live up to, and it's entirely self-focused and self-induced. So there's no one saying that you have to go Ruby on this date, but in me it's saying I gotta do this, I gotta do this. So that's kind of how we think. And then an example is kind of that if you're rowing a boat, so greens need to plan everything. When you're rowing a boat and you only have one oar, if you only have one oar and no plan, you're just going to keep going in circles, right? Well, a green, you need to give them a little bit more information so that they can plan and execute this in a strategic way. So, going from one side to the other side so that way you get in the direction that you want instead of just circles. So greens, you want to communicate with them the same way. You want to communicate very precise, and you want to, and so oftentimes they will respond with one-word answers. which can come across as very curt or awkward even. I know for me, if you ask me like a yes or no question, I'll give you a yes or no. I won't explain it any further. And oftentimes that, especially in a text message, that can come across as like, oh, are they mad at me? Or did I make them feel some type of way? Are they upset? You start to question all these things. Don't read into it too much. Remember, greens value efficiency. So if you ask a yes or no question, they're going to give you the answer that's the quickest that answers your question. Okay, so remember that. If you need more info, just prompt them a little bit, like pull from them. When you're leading greens, they want to know everything. So send them all the training, send them all of the tracking materials and resources that they can later reference. You're going to want to focus on clarifying steps for them. So that way they can start to create a plan. Like greens want to know everything. So like if we say to a green that you're going to go ruby this month, they want to know the breakdown of exactly what a ruby is. Okay, so I need 3 DTs and 400 BV each and 2000 group volume overall. And each person should bring in 500 BV themselves. And it just all of these things, all of these statistics they start to think about because they want to plan out the best plan to do it. So the best way to go about kind of leading a green is to be direct, be honest, and use clear communication. Greens love host to post. They love all that number. And if a green, like if you have a green on your team and they miss a goal or a promotion, step in immediately and kind of reach out to them and just let them know like, hey, I know that today was a tough day, but this is a bird's eye view of the situation. So you can kind of give them a different perspective and then give them the next 3 steps. So that way they start to plan, because the good thing about greens is that like the green and red combo is great because they're very self-focused, self-serving, not always in a bad way, but sometimes. But the drive, the motivation, ambition, and the goals of the red pairs really well with the green, because the green is going to have the discipline from the tactical and strategic of the green to create a plan. So it's the perfect execution, and it's a perfect plan and execution. So these can work against each other though. Like these color personalities can, because a red will show up and say, I gotta go, go. They don't stop to think, they just move their bodies. And they'll say like a bad action or small action is better than no action at all. And the reality is like they are right to a certain degree, but also you can run all day long and literally be in the same spot because you were just running in circles. You didn't have a plan of the track that you were going to go. Now a green, on the other hand, is going to come and say, no action is better than bad action, because it's, if I can't do it right the first time, or if I can't do it right, then I better not do it all. Greens will say that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. The perfectionist in them wants to get it done right the first shot. They really want to be efficient and precise, so they're constantly trying to figure out a way to do it the best way, which can either be great like as wisdom, or it can be self-sabotage. So as a green, you have to really be aware of making a plan, but then actually going and executing it so that you're not just constantly stuck in a frozen state. So those are all red and green. It's off to, I believe, Raquel. Might be Sam.
Hello, you guys. So all things blue personality. So I was pumped actually diving into this one. I'm red green, so it's great to know like all the colors, because we're all a percentage of all the colors. So all things blue. Blues are super energetic, you guys. They were made for this business. They love to have fun. They love being around people. They love adventures. They love meeting new people, really easily distracted though. They hate to color in the lines. So they're more of like a rebel and a rule breaker. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're very empathetic. So for blues, TikTok and lives is like gold for you guys. If you're high end and like being around people, lives and TikToks is great for blues. They can be judgy. And they overcommit and under-deliver. They value instant gratification. So like the whole get rich quick overnight, or you're not enrolling customers the very first second you join. And distributors, they get very discouraged when that happens. But when a blue can accept their emotions and learn to channel them, they will be super successful. So how do you lead a blue, right? Emotional creatures. Their feelings are sometimes dramatic and inadequate. So validate them and give them encouragement. Show them love. They crave attention. They crave people's attention. They have fear of missing out, you guys. So match their energy. They're super energetic, super fun. So you have to keep things fun and exciting for blues. Keep them accountable. So like when you're in this business and you hear blues talk, they're always going to be like, oh, squirrel. So they say squirrel because they get distracted very easily. You could be somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to go do host to post. And you just start scrolling and you're like, oh, there's Janet. And then you click on Janet and then you go to, there's her mom's page. And then, oh, look at her mom's friend's dog. And so like blues get distracted very easily. So you need to like keep them in check, keep them accountable. What else? Push them. They are powerhouse. They are afraid of judgment, so it paralyzes them. So push them to have the confidence, pour into them and show them that you, because they are afraid of it. And I think that's all I have for blue. Sam is gonna do yellow next, I think.
Yeah, you're golden. Okay, so I hope you guys are starting to like, if you've taken the personality test, which you should have, and you're hearing the colors, and yeah, so yellow, blue, yellow, that's a great combo. So I hope you are able to start seeing some of these personalities and be like, oh, wait, that is me. Oh, like I am a lot like that. And just being self-aware, because I think that ties a lot into everything that we've talked about this week in self-awareness. So lastly, I'm gonna go over yellow. And just know too that your colors can change. So when I started, I was very yellow blue, and I am now yellow red. So from like beginning to leadership, I still swear there's blue in me because squirrel everything, but like I'm much more red and yellow now. So yellow, okay, you have an external fire, you have an overall mission, and you're an idea, you have the idea of community. So you are just so hyped to, you're like, wow, I could do a give back mission. Like I could build a school. Because that's me. Okay. So like that is totally yellow. Yellows are powerful because they can shapeshift. Okay. So I'm going to explain this like as a nurse, because I am a nurse. So we kind of wear all the hats and we shapeshift into whatever we need to be in the moment. So from a nurse's perspective, a blue, I can make people laugh, okay? And red, we would say like, you can't leave the hospital until you poop. Okay, you've heard that before, right? Like you're not getting out of here, no discharge for you. So we're very red, right? And you need to take your medicine. And then there's green, because we're like, we chart and we're very policy driven, and we stay to the books and we have to follow direct orders. And so that's very green. And then we're yellow because we're like super empathetic and we're about helping people. So we feel affirmed when we're serving, we're punctual, kind of on time, and they won't go above what they're asked to do, right? So this is so, I can relate to this so much, because if I have a to-do list in front of me, I will absolutely cross every single thing off that to-do list. Like I was asked to do that. That's on my to-do list. If I don't have that, I'm like, meh, if it gets done, it gets done, right? So like if I'm asked to do it, or if my team comes to me and they're like, hey Sam, can you do this? Absolutely, right on it, right? But if it's me in my own head, like I'm like, I'll figure it out. So but the downfall to yellows is when yellows are out of their environment, they don't know what to do, right? So like the big examples of this is when we have big family calls or big announcement calls, and they're like, boom, promotion, boom, 5 products, boom. And I come off those calls and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I don't know, it's uncomfortable and I can't do it. Like, and I have this moment of adjustment because it's like nothing that I understand, right? Because I'm like, this is all new and it's unfamiliar and I can't handle it. So definitely don't know what to do. And yellows lose themselves because they put their energy into everybody else first. And like you just saw, like we're having a lot of adjustments at home. So like I am putting everything into my family and my kids, and then I tend to leave very little for myself. And we pour from an empty cup, which is very common. Self-development is everything for yellows. It's everything for everybody. So let me just leave that on the table. But yellows, it speaks to their soul, and yellows need to know the benefits they will reap when you're getting started in the business. So if you find yourself a yellow, or you find yourself leading a yellow, it's important to have your why and what you'd like to achieve on the forefront. Financial freedom, being able to stay home with your kids, wanting to travel, having dream board things. When a yellow realizes that this business is going to allow them to help others achieve their goals and help others achieve their financial goals and dreams, yellows will have success. Yellows will grow. So how do you lead a yellow? Okay, so these are the things from a leadership standpoint, because I want everyone to know that if you're in here right now, you're a distributor, you're also a leader. You join this business and you may say, I have nobody on my team, I don't even know what I'm doing. You are a leader. You are in this position, you are getting into a role of having a team eventually. You are going to start developing into more of a leader, but you are a leader today. So how do you lead a yellow? They're thinkers. They will do exactly what you say. They don't have initiative, they will wait. So like, I'm not going to go and just explore everything, but if someone comes to me and says, hey, this works and you need to use it, I will say, okay, great. And I start using it. Communication tip. Would you like to list a list of 3 to 5 things to do every day? That's a great way to talk to yellows. So if you're a yellow and you're like, I'm not getting things done, ask your enroller, hey, can I have a list of some things to do every day? Do you have a plan for today, or would you like some help to come up with one? They're fast learners, but don't rob them of the opportunity to let them step up. As they question things, give them options, empower, but also give a way out. So I feel like it's as if like, yellows you want to empower them, but you also want to make sure that they don't feel forced into it. And they love tasks, love host to post. They're fearful of sounded scripts. So I know a lot of us come in, they're like, what are these scripts that these people keep sending me? Those are guides, guys. They're just guides. Okay, you can change them, use the information, but they've worked for us for a really long time, so we don't want to recreate the wheel. So just give your yellows that confidence and that understanding. They're a guideline to be changed. Make sure yellow understands that they are part of something great and something way, way bigger, because that's what they want to be. They want to be able to provide that to the community. So that's the last of the colors. And I hope that you all gathered something out of this and took something home with you to throw into your business, because it's interesting when we talk in colors, we're like, oh gosh, I'm being so red today. People new in the business are like, what is wrong with her? What does she mean? We start talking in colors because it's just a way of understanding each other. Okay, and it's a language, it really is a language. And so you need to learn the language, and you're not going to learn it overnight. There's a couple other podcasts that go way, way deeper into these different things. So if you're interested in hearing more about it, you're super interested in learning about it, let us know. We'll get you in the right direction. And use these things. Develop yourself, guys. Be self-aware. Okay? So we have, sorry for my little children issue. I hope everybody has a great Thursday night. Anybody else? Do you guys have anything to add? No? Good to go.
Hey, I just want to chime in like quickly before we hop off. Just thank you guys so much for doing this between last week and this week. I mean, all the weeks, but like the product information is super valuable, even for us that have been in for years. And I just want to appreciate the time and effort that's going in, because having these and giving the information is like, it's so beneficial. So I just wanted to like say that, because I'm like 5 years in and still learning stuff from you guys. And like, I just really love these meetings, and they're so well thought out and planned. And I just really appreciate it, like being on the team. So love you guys.
We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, guys. I hope you have a good night and a great weekend. And we'll see you on Power Hour tomorrow.